I recently met with the EVP of Finance for a global pharmaceutical company who has lead responsibility for implementing an ERP system across the enterprise. He told me that this is their third attempt, that the company has already invested millions of dollars, and the result is that they're worse off now than before they started. His question to me was, how do I guarantee success this time around? When I get presented with questions like this from CEOs, sponsors, other folks who are looking for some advice and direction, first thing I do is really try to probe a little bit deeper, ask a couple of questions that help to qualify exactly what the issues and concerns are behind the question. So the first question I really had is, what went wrong before? Was it they ran out of money? Was it that there was a poor integrator in place? So really understanding what's behind those previously failed attempts is a really critical aspect of how do we go forward, how do I respond to the question. Assuming that these are typical issues around sponsorship, lack of clarity of the desired state, unwillingness to really look at how people are resisting and responding to the change. Assuming that those are the typical kinds of responses, my reaction or my response to this individual was, what is it that's going to happen differently this time than when we presented this opportunity twice before? What's going to be different? Are we putting more resources against it? Is there a different leader sponsoring this effort? Are we elongating the time? Be very, very clear about what's different. That's really significant because we want to be transparent with our audience. We want to acknowledge to the audience that's impacted by the change what we've done before, why that didn't work, and what we're going to do differently this time. We need to really understand those audiences. We need to analyze them. We need to, first of all, ensure that this is the same group of people we're talking with now, or the same group of people that we're asking to go through the ERP implementation now than the previous two times. If they're the same people, great. Let's be very, very open, honest. Let's communicate about the past failure. If they're a different group of people, be very, very cautious about spending too much time focused on the past. Important to let them know it's failed before, but why create any additional resistance in those new individuals by dwelling on the past? So it's a bit of a delicate balance that we want to really make certain that we're managing our way through. So after we've acknowledged the past failures, we've talked about the commitment from leadership as to why it will be different this time. We have responsibility for communication. That communication has to be open, honest, real clear. We have to reinforce that sponsorship is in place, that there is real clarity in the desired state, and that there is a true willingness to understand and mitigate the resistance related to the change that's coming from target groups. Again, in the end, it's all about understanding and mitigating resistance. Why did the changes in the past fail? What are we going to do differently this time? And how are we going to help people by better communication, potentially training them better and differently? How are we going to recognize, reinforce, and reward their progress, the milestones that we make, and ultimately a commitment that if it is a sponsorship issue, that we're willing to look at those sponsors, help them through their decision-making process, and give them the skill and competency they need to effectively manage the change. History is a critical variable in our success going forward. We need to understand it, and we need to manage it well. In summary, there are 6 lessons learned from failed change projects. First and foremost, we need to understand why those previous changes have failed. We need to acknowledge these past failures. We need to own them and not blame others for the fact that they did or didn't happen effectively. We need to openly communicate what are the key lessons learned from those failures. We need to analyze the audiences and don't introduce past failures to new target groups. We need to make sure that we have a shift in expectations, that there's clear communication as to how and why this is going to be different. And finally, to be most successful, we need to convince those impacted by the change that we're going to measure, monitor, and absolutely celebrate the incremental successes we make along the way.